Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So, since we've been talking a lot about Ben Simmons, and I've been doing these different team series type things, I'd like to add on to the Philadelphia 76ers, add them as the next team. That way, it'll allow me to continue this conversation, to be honest with you, because there's still more to say. So, I'll do the best I can to go through their roster. There's half of this roster I do not know, but the players that I do know are as followed. First of all, we're going to mention Joel Embiid, one of the great centers in all of basketball. There's nothing he cannot do. He's shaken off his injury proneness. I think for the most part, I think you can pretty much rely upon him as a super duper star, and you know, one of the probably top 5 players in all of basketball. Simple as that. Just one of the great players in this league. Next guy, Seth Curry. Seth Curry's developed into one of the best pure shooters in basketball, in my opinion. He was playing so well for this team last year before going down with COVID. Came back and kind of picked up. It took a couple weeks to get right, but he didn't quite have that type of production when he came back. But you know what he can do at this point. He had a fantastic tenure with Dallas as well. He's a Curry, man. You know what that's about. 3-point shooting, and he has some spice to his game as well. He's not just a one-trick pony. It's a guy who can put the ball on the floor. He's an aggressive finisher, and he's somebody who plays very well a lot of the time. So I think he's played his way into a starting role in this league, to be completely honest with you. And I wouldn't be entirely mad at them at all for starting him at the shooting guard position next season. I think they'll be better for it. The next name I got up here is, of course, Tobias Harris, a player who's turned himself into an all-star player or very close to it. I don't know that he's made an all-star team, but he's in that range. Just a really, really talented scorer from the power forward position. Big body, somebody who can do a lot of things for you, rebounds well. You know, defensively, he's here and there. I think he's cool defensively. I unfortunately have too many memories of him getting torched by LeBron James. He's one of LeBron James's favorite targets when he was in the Eastern Conference. He was always thrown on LeBron because of his body, and of course, Bron does what Bron does. But when you think about Tobias Harris at this point, he's one of the guys that you consider for the Philadelphia 76ers that makes them special in terms of their lineup. Why they're a contender is because they have a guy like Tobias Harris in their starting lineup with a big body going along with a lot of other big bodies that they have on this roster. So when I think about their size, he is why they are so special to me, to be completely honest with you. Matisse Steibel, you've heard me talk about him if you've been following my channel. Matisse Steibel is one of the best defenders in the game, in my mind. Kind of stuck in a weird role where he doesn't really get a chance to shine because of what they got going on spacing the floor already with Ben Simmons, and so it's kind of a redundancy to have him out there because he doesn't really shoot. But like Ben Simmons, he's an amazing defender, and it's kind of sad that they're going to break up this team with those two, because I think that you haven't seen really what they're capable of doing defensively together. That's what I think sucks the most about all of this for me. It's because I believe in Matisse Steibel's defense. I think he's one of the best already, and I think it's just a matter of him and Ben Simmons having so much talent on that side of the board, on that side of the ball. It's just a dynamic that was never really explored properly, in my opinion. Shake Milton is a very talented shooting guard I like a lot. He's on this team. Hopefully, when everything shakes out, he'll have a bigger role. I think that's what's coming, and we'll talk a little more about that. But Shake Milton needs to start. In my opinion, he's close to a starting point guard, honestly. It's just that, just like everybody else on this team, their roles are funny. And I think the presence of Ben Simmons has to do with a lot of that, to be honest with you. I think when they remove him from this roster, you're going to see some guys play a lot better. I'm just going to keep it real. Forkin Korkmaz, I believe I'm saying his name correctly. Big play potential. This is somebody who is not going to average a lot of points, but he has the potential to give you a 40-point game at any given moment. He can shoot like that. He really can. Like everybody else on this Philadelphia 76ers team, his role is inconsistent as hell. He probably would have developed better had he been somewhere else thus far. I'm just going to keep it real. This is what I think of Philly. They're terrible at developing players and creating environments that players enjoy being in. You see it over and over and over and over and over again. And Forkin Korkmaz is a player, I think if he were anywhere else, he would be one of the main shooters off the bench, maybe even a starter, helping shoot, space the floor for a lot of teams. There's so many teams that could use what he does. But he's a homegrown guy. Philadelphia drafted him, if I'm not mistaken, early. think it might have been the same year or the year after they drafted Simmons, something like that. But he's been around, and I think they waited a little bit to bring him over from overseas. I think that's how that went. And I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him. He hasn't developed properly because he's been in that situation. And I think as soon as he is able to get a consistent role, the potential for him to break out into something entirely different is almost imminent, in my opinion. I've seen enough from him to know he can do it. He just needs to get the hell out of there, honestly. They drafted a guy by the name of Isaiah Joe. I haven't done homework on this guy, but I did remember hearing his name. So for whatever that's worth, I think he will have a role on this team next year. I don't know of some of the names down here as well. A guy by the name of Bassi, last name Petrosev, last name Reed, last name Henry. These are new guys, I guess, or guys that they've drafted very recently. So I didn't do my homework on that because, quite frankly, just not in a space where I want to really do that. Cut and dry. But I'll tell you this. The most important thing about the Philadelphia 76ers is not necessarily their roster right now, but it's more so about the controversy surrounding the situation with Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey, which is something that I hadn't had a chance to really talk about. But Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey are both represented by Clutch Sports. We know who that is. We know what time it is when we talk about Clutch. And they have basically said, yo, F Philadelphia, we want out. And we don't give a damn about y'all trade value, you dragging your feet. We don't care about if you take something back. We feel spited by y'all, and we getting out of here. So that's what's happening here. This isn't just Ben Simmons saying I'm leaving. This is Clutch Sports saying I'm not messing with. Our talent does not want to play for the 76ers. That's the best way that I can describe what I understand. They are saying their talent doesn't want to play for that team, and they're out. So, yeah, they got a big problem on their hands because it ain't just Ben Simmons that wants out. They're very, very, very talented, 40-point scoring rookie last year that they didn't use properly, that he wants out too. So this is horrible because when you getting Ben Simmons out of there, you're hoping that you can keep a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's a high-level rookie. A rookie who, if given the right spot, you know who he reminds me of? I'm going to tell you exactly who he reminds me of. Kevin Porter Jr. See how Kevin Porter Jr. got the hell out of Cleveland? Went to Houston, broke all the way out. Was in the G League out there putting up legendary numbers to the point where they had to call him up immediately because he shouldn't have been there or never should have been. Yeah. Tyrese Maxey's like that. Tyrese Maxey is a hyper athlete. He has great lower body strength and great quickness that allows him to dart all over the place. He gets to the basket very fast. He reminds me sort of a little like De'Aaron Fox, right? They got a guy like that on their bench. They're not even using him, literally. And because of the role they gave him, which I felt was disrespectful after he showed that he had 40-point game potential, big superstar level performances that he put up, and then his minutes went back down. It's like, what the hell are y'all doing? Frustration, indeed. And I made a video about it, saying that Tyrese Maxey should be given a bigger role and that it was almost a tragedy how they're handling him. And apparently he agrees, and his representation saw it the exact same way I did. So they want out, and I don't blame them. Get him the hell out of there. So, yeah, man, look, this is the reality of how I see Philadelphia, and I've said this already in this video. They just don't create an environment that nobody can really thrive in. For whatever set of reasons, it's always something going on with their rookies and the players coming in that just makes it more difficult for them to develop. Ben Simmons had trouble developing there. Okafor had trouble developing there. We know what happened with Markelle Fultz, how awful that situation was. Joel Embiid and all his injury issues. And then the plethora of players that have come in and out of that lineup over the years during this process that have gone on to leave this place and been better. Think about guys like Rashad Holmes. Think about guys like they traded like Mikal Bridges that should be in their roster right now. It's just everything they have done seem like it's like they're just dragging their nails across the chalkboard. That's how frustrating it's been to watch. Every good pick that they get, every first round, second round pick they get, with the exception of Simmons and Embiid, come in and just not develop. They get all kinds of guys. And it's gotten to a point where, yes, are they the Philadelphia 76ers? Is that one of the better names in NBA? Yeah, it's one of the pillar franchises in the NBA. Philadelphia is a hard-nosed city, so you approach them a certain way. You would think of them a certain way. They booed Santa Claus and Beyonce. They ain't to be played with. You don't pay attention to the facts that they are really dealing with a lot in terms of waiting on the process and the grueling nature of that process. Staying with the coach that they kept for too damn long, bringing in another coach in here who is not sensitive. Cut and dry. Doc Rivers ain't sensitive, y'all. He's going to motivate people the way he can. He's going to call them out on the stuff that he does. And it's been, well reported that there's been static in a lot of situations he's been a part of, particularly with the Clippers. And you bring that guy in. You bring in Daryl Morey, one of the biggest gunslingers in GM history. And then you stranglehold the situation with an affinity for Ben Simmons by signing him to one of the biggest deals in the league before he actually develops a damn jump shot. His mental goes left, just like everybody else that goes through that Philadelphia 76ers franchise. Their mental goes left. And now he don't want to play there no more. They've turned their back on him, essentially frustrated in a frustrating situation, as I've said before. Doc Rivers said, hey, man, I'm not sure I can win with this dude, but you want me to lie? I'm not sure. They asked him if he can win. I don't know if I can win with this guy. Apparently not. When he's not even attempting dunks and he's 10 times bigger than the person approaching him. He could dunk that ball, easily get fouled, get to the line, help us win. He didn't do that. Can I win with him? I don't think so. Not if he's not doing that. And Ben Simmons took offense to that. And he didn't really even say all that. But that was the sentiment, and we all understood it. He just does not, at the end of the day, want to play for this team. And it's because they haven't instilled the type of confidence in him, coupled with helping him through his own struggles, as well as seeing the situations that they've done just on the basketball floor. Players around him, now, as I said, Maxey and Shake Milton and all these guys who are talented, who, if they were on different teams, would be playing a different way, winning together, better roles and all that. And I'll tell you this, like I said, they kept their old coach too long. Ben Simmons was used to be treating a certain way. He was used to being treated a certain way. The reason why they kept their coach as long as they did is because he had ties to Ben Simmons, and upon drafting Ben Simmons, they wanted him to be in place to help things along for Ben Simmons. They got rid of that guy. And they brought in Doc Rivers. Not a Ben Simmons guy, not a sensitive guy. Not somebody who's going to cater to Ben Simmons' mental in that way. And we are in a space where Ben Simmons didn't react well to that, and he wants out. He did the things that happen when you spiral in uncomfortable situations when your mind is a certain way. I know this for a fact. I'm one of those people. If you're one of those people and you're in an environment that makes you feel worse, you're not going to perform well. Facts. It's about the environment, Philly. I don't care who you bring in or who you let go of. Until you fix the canvas, whatever it is, whatever that bad juju is that continues to have players come into your lineup and then lose their damn mind, or come into your organization and lose their damn confidence, to be more exact, that's something that y'all got to figure out within your culture. Simple as that. You need a culture change. I don't know if it's something as simple as clearing out the people who are there and bringing in new people, or something like this as psychological as changing your color scheme of your team. You got to do something, though, because players are coming into that organization as high caliber players, and they're leaving out of those organizations with lower value. That's what's happening with Philly. They're leaving out of the organization with lesser value, and it's consistent. It's just continuing to happen. And what's not happening is winning, despite them having a top 5 player in all of basketball, and 2 of the best defenders in all of basketball, and one of the better shooters. Like, they have pieces. They have the coaching. They have the GM. What they don't have is the environment and the culture of winning, of sustainable winning. They built this on losing, and they're continuing that process, even with the talent, even with the coaches, even with the names. And it's like, what you don't want to happen is Joel Embiid starts looking around and starts realizing all of this. Never mind Ben Simmons, all that. He's saying all the right things. Everybody's saying what they're going to say. I think Ben Simmons hurt their value. I think they didn't help their value. in regards to this announcement coming out about his California wishes. All of that's been bad, but Joel Embiid has said the right things. If he starts realizing that this environment ain't that much better than Dame's, which it ain't, he gonna realize it's time for him to move on too. Why? You know why he ain't looking to move on? Because he's not attached to Clutch Sports. They'd be getting his ass out of there too. Let's just keep it real. That's why you haven't lost him yet. Because he's not a part of that. But if he were, he'd be gone too. So that's something Philly needs to work on. They need to work on what they can handle from the top and let that trickle down. Ownership, this is a you thing. It's always been a you thing. It's been an ownership thing since the beginning. And if nobody else say it, I'll say it. It shows. It just shows. So, just like I said with Portland, I think Portland ownership, if they can't seem to figure out what they need to do to get the team right, they need to trade the team. I don't feel any different about Philadelphia. I feel no different. You want to die on this Ben Simmons heel. You didn't trade him for James Harden when you had an opportunity to. Clearly, you don't know what you're doing. If that deal was actually on the table, which has been reported that it was, that somebody should have been fired for not making that deal. That deal should have been done immediately. There's no amount of faith that I'm pouring into Ben Simmons is going to keep me from taking back James Harden in no era of any time. That should never happen. So, off the strength of that just fuels everything I just said for the last 16 minutes. That's what I have to say. I think it's about it. Now, as far as Ben Simmons, where is he going to go? Well, we'll figure it out. Is Tyrese Maxey going to be in the same deal? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, who knows? What I hope for Tyrese Maxey is that he's not. Hopefully he's headed to a third place. That will give him more opportunity to play, because if he's going where Ben Simmons is going, chances are Ben Simmons is going to be the primary ball handler in most situations, and they already got guards in those situations that will do the things that Tyrese does, so his situation won't be much better than this one. However, there are places he can go, and I'll give that some thought and maybe talk about it a little later, but for now, it's just about Ben Simmons and how long it's going to be before they trade him, and what deals they'll have to settle for, or more importantly, what they'll have to give up to make that happen. Which I expect may be a whole lot, to be honest with you guys. So, that's what I got. Philadelphia, as I've said a million times, if you really want to get rid of Ben Simmons, I know exactly how to do it. You trade him to Houston for John Wall, because that's the only team that won't be able to demand a bunch of picks from you because John Wall's damaged goods. And that contract is also a salary deal. So it's probably the best deal you're going to find, because he's the only guy that they can argue that they wouldn't mind getting rid of. And it ain't for basketball reasons. Is Ben Simmons' contract an upgrade? Absolutely. It's younger, bigger, better defensively, fits their timeline better, moves other players on their roster into more traditional roles than John Wall being there right now, kind of taking the ball out of Porter Jr.'s hands, taking that spot away from Porter Jr. I believe that Ben Simmons would move immediately into the 4 spot or the 3 spot, and he would facilitate from there, just like Jokic does. That's my envisioning for Ben Simmons at Houston. He would not be the primary point guard. That would be Terry Porter. That would be Kevin Porter Jr. And of course, you got Green down there running the rings, doing what he does as well. You put Ben Simmons in that mix. You couple that with Tate and all these other guys of whom I expect they would not have to give up in this deal. And I think the Houston Rockets could be a playoff team for certain. I have no doubt that Ben Simmons makes them a playoff team. He does. So I don't know if they're looking at that way. Maybe they're concerned about their spacing. Maybe they don't see the vision. But yeah, that's the best spot for him. And Philadelphia, they can bring back John Wall. And that contract isn't great, but at least it takes away some of their issues. It gets rid of Ben Simmons without giving up picks. And that is the main thing. Since the statement's been made that he wants to come out and he don't want to be there no more, the value is trash. Now it's about how much you give up to get him off the books, which means you got to look for a way to not have to. And John Wall is that way. Houston can't demand too much. It's salary dump. Just like Ben Simmons is. I'm not giving you nothing for John Wall. You want to get rid of John Wall just like I want to get rid of Ben Simmons. Maybe not as much, but what, am I attach Maxey to that? just to make it work because Maxey wants out anyway, fine, I'll give you Maxey. He wants out anyway. Give me a second rounder. Bam. Done. Are you settling? Hell yeah, you're settling. Maxey can be given it away in a better deal. But remember, try to get rid of Ben Simmons without giving up picks. There's Maxey. So you have it. Now they'll have to, obviously Houston would have to figure out. That's it. There you have it. That should be it. I mean, if there are other numbers to match, you could probably match it up with a player or two, but I think the numbers match. I'm pretty certain. Upper Cosmos, right? They're both $40 million contracts, so that's the move, yo. That's it. Works for the Philadelphia 76ers because it brings them a defender who can come back into the situation. It gives them some of that speed that they're going to be losing with both of those players, Tyrese Maxey. It moves Shake Milton into that shooting guard spot. Keeps them defensive minded in their starting lineup with John Wall, who's one of the better young defenders. Not young, but better defenders at the point guard spot. He's not Ben Simmons at this stage, but he's still a hell of a defensive player. He's not a liability like who you will likely have to take back. So, I mean, would you rather have De'Aaron Fox if the Sacramento Kings are willing to throw in De'Aaron Fox? I'd rather have De'Aaron Fox and John Wall. But if I'm getting De'Aaron Fox, guess what? They want De'Aaron Fox. So what am I giving up? Lots of picks. See? That work. So maybe they'll be willing to do it, but there's a better deal out there. You just gotta find me. They gotta find one of my videos, so I'll let them know. That's the deal. It's John Wall, y'all. It's going to be John Wall because you have to not give up picks. You can't afford to give up any assets. And everyone else is going to demand them. Simple as that. Ben Simmons ruined his value, or whoever released that information about him wanting to go to Cali ruined his value, to be exact. So that's what I got, man. I'm a broken record. I thank y'all for putting up with it. My name is BDF44. I'm out.